last year I was probably looking after my body a bit more, not trying to get into the contact because I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to come out here. I felt like, you know, teams probably knew that I didn't love the contact, so they would just get stuck into me and then that would kind of keep me out of games.
But you know what you need to do more of then?
What?
TikTok dances.
Absolutely not. There's no chance.
They're good, like, in fairness as well. No. It's good for team building, I'd say, with the younger girls as well.
It is. They'd like, it's kind of funny because when I came out from home, I was always the youngest. I was like, you know, because like when you're underage, you're like, if you're anyway decent at like 17, 18, you're straight, like you're on the senior women's team. So I was always the younger one in the Galway panel. We were always the youngest one. And then I came out here and I was kind of still young in that in-between phase. And I was kind of like that where I was like fun. And I was like, oh, it's a bit of a laugh. And then now I've been here like 4 years and I'm in that older category. I'm like, oh, these fucking kids. And I'm like, I can't believe that I'm at that stage now that I'm like looking at them being like, I don't get what they're doing or like kind of that carry on. But I'm like, it's funny. I join in sometimes. But like before I'd be like loving to do it. And I'm like, why are you dancing on fucking TikTok? You know what I mean?
But Hawthorn do the content thing really well.
Their content is so good.
It's like,
but it's
for both men's and women's teams. Like,
but it's in a way that is natural.
Yeah.
Like they pick, like they'll have a video idea and they'll be like, okay, who's good at this? Like they're not going up to just the same people and just like pissing them off and be like, here, do this. Like even if it's like questions like about like, oh, who, like, what is your favorite meme? They'll go up to the younger ones and be like, what's your favorite meme? Because they know that that's like the content they get. If they go up to the 30 ones, they're like, you guys probably don't know what memes are. So we're not going to ask you what the memes are. But like they'll pick and choose who, like it's just natural for them to do it. So it's like easy when they kind of ask you two thme like say the Halloween dress up. Like that was just so much fun.
Did you go as John Cena?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because me and my brothers when we were younger, like loved wrestling, loved John Cena. Like they came to Dublin one of the years when we were younger. Actually, my family went with the Kellys, Sean Kelly and Owen Kelly and all them. So it was Sean, Owen, Paul, and then me, my eldest brother, and my younger brother Fionn. And we all went to the wrestling and we loved it. So like my at home games, you have like a Goal Sally song, and like my song is like John Cena. Like so like then we were trying to dress up for it, and I was trying to think of an idea. And then I think I was like on Twitter and like for some reason, I think John Cena had followed like the Hawthorn AFLW account after they put up a video of me with his song. And then, so, you know, when you've like connected with someone on it, it kind of comes up. So then like something that he did came up and I was like, oh my God, this is perfect. I'm going to dress up as him on Monday. So then I dragged Eliza West in to dress up as The Undertaker as well. So that was pretty funny.
Because when I was doing research for this, I noticed from watching the games over the last few weeks, Vicky's song is obviously the exact same song. And I was thinking like, cause your mates, I was like, who had it first?
So the thing that was so funny, because the songs only came in last season and it was when we were living together. She's moved out and she's living with her boyfriend Jack, but we were living together and I came home and I was like, oh, you know, they asked us about Goal Sally songs today. And she was like, oh, we got asked that question like 2 days ago. And I was like, I was trying to think of a song. And for some reason, I think I might go with John Cena. And she was like washing up and she dropped it. She's like, you're joking. And I was like, what? She's like, I said that at training. That's the song that I wanted to use. So it was just kind of a coincidence that we both said that song and then we just both kind of picked it. But it's kind of a bit like, it's funny, the crowd's reaction like all the time. Like if it goes on, like if they pan to the crowd, sometimes you just have people like laughing in the crowd, which I just find kind of funny. So it's like a nice song that just is not too cringe. You just kind of get a good reaction from everyone.
We were talking about it last weekend, actually, when we were sitting on the couch watching the footy and we're like, what would your song be? Yeah. And it has to be a crowd pleaser, like realistically. Callum Brown had like some salsa dancing last year. I remember because he scored 3 goals in one of the first games. And like the first time it came on, the crowd were kind of looking around like, what is this? Yeah. And then the second time it came on, they started to kick it on. Then the third time, everybody was just going loose. Like, so.
No, I think it's actually a really good idea. And I think that it also gets people like around the players. So like the biggest one for that is obviously Charlie Cameron, like Country Road. Like he kicks a goal and then for like 20 seconds after the song finishes, the Gaba is still singing that song. Like, that's just so cool. But yeah, you need a song that like people definitely know and kind of can get around, because if it's a bit too niche, I'm not sure how well the crowd got to react to it.
But one thing that's frustrating me, or was frustrating me when I came out and the men's comp was still going on, is the amount of ads is crazy. So every time there was a goal in the grand final, it just goes to an ad, so you don't even see the crowd going crazy. Very American style.
I think, was that Fox that you were watching?
Probably, yeah.
I think 7's not as bad.
Okay.
I think it's not as bad. I watched it on KO. Wait, did you watch it on KO?
Yeah. Well, actually, I'm not sure. I watched it in one of the lads' gaffs.
Yeah.
Big screen. Loads of Aussies in the gaff as well. And it's just like a totally different experience watching it with Aussies than watching it with Irish people.
Yeah,
because
I can imagine.
They almost, well, like we kind of don't know what we're watching, I suppose. So they celebrate for way more things than we would if we were watching it.
Yeah.
Like tackles, marks, everything is celebrated by them.
Yeah.
Whereas we were probably disinterested without the goals.
Yeah.
Which is only natural, I suppose, if you don't really know the game.
Yeah.
But like, to go back to chatting about Vicky, you were living together and playing on opposing teams. Do you still see as much of each other now that she's moved out, or is this week kind of different?
Well, actually, I went to dinner with her last night with her parents, which is kind of funny. But we, like me, her, Sarah and Goldie would be like really close. And we kind of tried to catch up with each other once or twice a week. So yeah, it's still we see each other pretty regularly. But we never played against, this is the first time we're playing against each other. So like last year, I think that if we didn't lose to Port, we were going to play against them the following round. So we were kind of making jokes about how we were going to go about that week. And like I think there was like, I'm allergic to nuts. She was going to say put stuff in my breakfast or something, and then I was going to like put a speaker in her room trying to keep her up late at night. But no, we never played against each other until this weekend. But I would have loved to play against her when we were living together, because I think that would have been a funny week. And then for our other housemate Dara, he was relishing it. He was like, this is going to be so funny if you ever do play against each other. So I'm looking forward to playing against her this week.
And you're both obviously going quite well, 1 and 2 on the ladder. Does it add any extra spice to proceedings, not just you guys playing against each other, but the fact that they're winning all their games by decent margins, whereas you guys are just getting over the line, which there's almost more of an advantage in, I would say, going into finals footy?
Yeah, I think that's probably one thing that we've taken from last year, is that we probably weren't able to close out close games. And I think that really caught up to us in finals last year. I think we went into halftime against Brisbane winning, and we went into the fourth quarter up by 20 something against Port, and then ended up losing both games. So I think that that's one massive thing that we've taken from this year. We're quite a young team, so that comes with a bit of an experience. So I think that winning those games, like particularly at the beginning of the year when we had like a few quite tight games, that we probably weren't overly happy with our performances, but we ended up getting the win anyways, definitely will hold to us coming into these games. And yeah, I think we're just excited to play against North. Like, we haven't played against them. And like, if you want to be the best, you got to be the best. I think that's kind of a cliche, but like, we've never played against them. Like, it's exciting. Like, you kind of want to see what the hype is about, and like see how they're obviously like an unbelievable operation, and they have been like, haven't lost a game in 23 games, which is also pretty cool that we kind of get the chance to stop the record. But yeah, it's just kind of exciting. We're looking forward to it.
Is there more pressure on them than on you guys then?
Absolutely. I think like we've had like a good few injuries this year. Like, our captain got injured in the Geelong game, and our ruck, who was easily our best player throughout the season, she got appendicitis playing right before playing against Port. So she's gone for surgery. She's pretty much, hopefully, if we make it to the grand final, she might get back. But we've had an ACL, Kempy, who's in our backline. We've a lot of injuries, and we've people coming in and out of the side. So we've kind of been like tiptoeing in and around kind of the season going into it, but What was the question again? I kind of got off topic there.
More pressure on them.
More pressure, yeah. So like nobody expects anything from us. Like, nobody really expected us to even be top 4. I think like last year, all we were hearing last year was, oh, they just have an easy draw. Like they just had an easy draw last year. And then this year it was like, oh, they're getting a harder draw because they came second. Like, see how they go then. And then I think we've done better than what a lot of people thought we would do. So going into this game, we have like nobody expects us to come close to them. So there's no pressure on us. All the pressure's on them.
Is there danger then if you beat them that they'll be saying to themselves, oh, that was just a dead rubber, we're already through, like it doesn't really matter. But like you guys will have obviously more confidence going into finals if you can get over the line this weekend. It's almost like a free go.
Yeah, it is. I think like if we win, we come second, so then we get a home advantage in the finals and we then won't play against them the following week. But if we lose, we do play against them the following week. So I think it's either way, it's kind of an exciting game because if we win, well, we get a home advantage. We play either Melbourne or Brisbane, which would be great games all the same. And then if we lose, well, it's just a learning then. And then you just kind of pick what you've learned from one week and then bring it into the following week, which is probably a bit of a unique experience because I don't think many teams play each other back to back 2 weeks in a row. But yeah, you're just going to try throw a few things at them this week, see if they stick, and if they don't, then you can change them up for the following week.
What's changed in the last year then in terms of getting over the line in these tight fixtures? Because it sounds like there's been a lot of adversity this year, like lots of injuries. As well as that, you said you had a quite young team and it's still quite a young team, but is that extra year of experience just kind of paying off for you going into this season? Yeah,
I think so. I think also we probably didn't believe really in ourselves last year, and we thought that we were, doing really well. But I think that in the back of our heads, we kind of thought that it was a bit of a fluke. We kind of probably listened to what a lot of people said outside. Whereas this year, I think we kind of believed in ourselves. We put a heap of work in the off season. We saw how we could play last year and how we were able to compete with the top teams. So we kind of brought that belief more into this year. And then when we got into those closer, tighter games, I think the experience of losing those 2 finals, played in the back of our heads. And a lot of the younger girls, like we had a lot of girls that were playing their first year or even their second year last year. So then like giving them an extra couple of games definitely has brought them a bit more experience. And just as a collective, I think we have figured out like different roles and who and when to step up in the times that you're needed. And probably last year, the younger age maybe expected a little bit more of the older crowd to get that job done, where I feel like they're kind of looking at more of, well, this is our team as well. And, anyone can step up at any moment to take control of the games, close them out.
But it does still seem like from watching the games that you've taken a lot of responsibility this year and you're trying to shoulder a bit more load. Or maybe it's just a case that the ball is going through the post.
Yeah, a little bit, I'd say. I think I got added into the leadership group this year, which I think probably, added a bit of that. And I also felt like last year maybe I felt like it wasn't really fully my place to step up in a, if it's vocally or out on the field. Like I wanted to, I just didn't know if I was fully backed by everybody to do that. Whereas I feel like this year I feel like I'm definitely being backed more by the team and the staff and everyone to step up. And I think that, I think sometimes you just kind of get into those positions and when when you're in tight games and you kick a few, I think you can take great confidence from that and then bring it into the next game. So you're kind of comfortable then to do it again and you kind of don't really think twice about it. And when big players goes down, like your captain goes down and like Lucy Wales or Rook goes down and you don't really have a choice. Like you kind of don't have a choice. It's like, all right, you can either take it on and try to do as much as you can, or if you don't, well then that's kind of the game, isn't it? So I haven't really thought of it as a conscious thing. It's just kind of happened that way, I guess.
What about the physicality aspect? Has that been a conscious thing? Because
Yeah.
you're definitely getting more stuck in, and you're definitely like,
yeah.
I don't know if complaining's the right word, but you're looking at the ref sometimes like,
Yeah.
come on, like.
I actually probably was worse at complaining last year. I think, like I think I put on, that was my biggest aim in the off season, that like last year, pretty much since round 2 or 3, I was carrying injuries. And I kind of thought to myself, oh, this is, they're just impact injuries. Like I can't prevent that. But then like I had good conversations with like high performance and stuff, and they're like, no, you can't, you're getting hit, but your body's just not able to take the hits. So I put a lot of effort in the off season to like putting on weight and getting that bit stronger, so that, I can put myself more in those situations and be able to take the hits. Whereas I felt like last year I was probably looking after my body a bit more, not trying to get into the contact because I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to come out here. Whereas I feel a bit more now that if I'm going into the contact, hopefully I'm coming out the one that's better off.
You're not saying hopefully when you're going in, though. You're like,
yeah. And I think it's just like, learning the craft of tackling a bit better now and not being reckless going into it, and knowing, how to get into it and also how to get out of it, and be smarter in that way. But like, I think when I came over here first, I think I weighed like 53 kg.
And what height are you?
6 foot.
Wow.
And then now I think I'm weighing in a game is at like 70 kg. So, and you probably think that where has that gone? Because I still don't look that big, but like that was definitely like a big focus of mine this off season, was just to put on that size so that, I wasn't picking up these injuries that are preventable. And I think that's definitely helped this season because I can take on the contact more. Whereas last year I felt like, teams probably knew that I didn't love the contact, so they would just get stuck into me, and then that would kind of keep me out of games. Whereas this year, like, I don't mind getting into it. I don't mind kind of taking that on, and then just playing through it.
But it seems like when the ball is coming in to the inside from you, at least at the moment, you were probably trying to do it previously, but you're much more comfortable now in using your body to kind of shield yourself and keep your opposition player out of the game so that you can take the mark.
Yeah.
Whereas when I'm looking at it, I'm like, well, she's probably taking that from basketball. Like, just getting your arse in the way.
Yeah, it is. I did a lot of work with one of the men's players, Jack Gunston. He came in as a development coach with us last year. And I think that we were both similar in the sense that we're probably a little bit undersized to be a proper tall, and then a bit too tall to be a small. So we kind of he taught me how to manipulate like space and use my body in that kind of sense, like holding out space, and also learning how to read the game better and when to hit up and when to lead. Because if I'm getting into a wrestling match with these girls that are bigger than me, I'm going to lose every day of the week. Whereas if I just get there at the last second and try to use my pace more, or use, my attributes rather than playing into their hands, that was going to benefit me. And I feel like that's probably one of the biggest parts of my game that I've improved on this year, is just understanding that aspect and understanding what my attributes are and playing into them, rather than just playing a role that I thought was needed to be, that tall, just trying to, get up and mark ball and just getting into stupid contests that I was never going to win anyways. So it was about like manipulating space and using body work to hold out, and understanding what my strengths are.
Do many of the lads, players, the men's team players, come and help you out with coaching? Or is it almost like you ask them if you need a little bit of a hand?
So last year, we were lucky with Jack coming in, and also Mitch Lewis came in as well. He did his ACL last season. So he, to keep him more involved in the club and everything, he came in to work with us. So that was definitely, for my position, great, because, both of them play very similar, different roles, but I kind of lean into a bit of both. So I was able to pick their brains a lot. And then, Greta Bodie worked a lot with Luke Bruce. And I think it's you can ask for help. We do, I think the club is really good at working together in both programs. like they're really, really good at that. And I think that comes from the top. Like Sam Mitchell is always coming in and around us, and if it's having a laugh or slagging us for doing something at the weekend in the game that he saw, but it's even nice to be like, okay, well, he's watching our games. Like, yeah, he's probably giving out to me because I didn't take this mark or I didn't do this, but he's watching the game. He knows what he's on about. So I think the lads see that and see that he's invested in us. So then they kind of get around us as well. So like they really help us out when we need it. And even if it's like 10-minute conversations like around the club, like they'll just give their opinions on different things, which I think helps a lot. And obviously they've gone through it all, so they kind of know how to help you out. So it's really good learning for us.
But I actually couldn't get over that when I was in doing the work with Connor in the off season, and all of you guys were still in season, so you were in training away. I know he's the player rep, I think, for Hawthorn, and then he obviously knows the two of you guys pretty well and the Irish girls. But he almost knew every one of the girls by name, as did most of the other lads that were coming in. You were all chatting away, whereas it's sad to say, obviously, with different sports at home in the GAA, you might never come into contact with, say, the Galway senior football team if you're on the Galway ladies Gaelic football team.
Yeah.
Obviously, you know the Mike Cullen lads, but like the rest of them, you'd know them from around. But
yeah, 100%. And I think that like it's a credit to the organization that they've kind of built that environment that everyone is kind of treated as equal, and it doesn't just come from Sam and Daniel, are like the two head coaches, but as an organization as a whole, like even the CEO Ash Klein, like, and the president Andy Gowers, like they're at every single one of our games in the changing rooms afterwards and chatting to us. And yeah, it's just kind of normalized that we all just kind of talk and would like pick each other brains if we need to, or get a bit of advice. And I think there's that bit of care, knowing, you know, what's going on. Obviously with Connor, it's great because, you know, me and Gilly would love to be chatting away to him when it's going around and just having that sense of home. But like all of the lads are actually just really nice guys, and they're just really easy to just have a chat with. And it's just nice having them around the club as well, because it's just like cool seeing even how they work. And they've obviously had great success over the past 2 years, especially. And they're growing, and we really feed off that. You know, when they're going really well and they're up and about, it kind of gives you that spurt to kind of keep going and improving, and you know, going to their games and watching how they kind of carry on sometimes as well. Gives you that bit of like, sure, we can do that too. Like, you know, you see like Guinea pulling out these sellies and Nick Watson, and like you see just the confidence that they have, and that kind of gives you then the confidence to be like, I can do that as well. Maybe not as crazy as Sally's, but just, you know, have the confidence going into the games.
So the good thing about that is the culture seems to be across the board with the club, as opposed to isolated to each of the groups. Was that the way it was when you came in initially? Because you said it was like quite natural and you just kind of ran with it.
I think when I came in, that was the first year that the W program was in there. And I think from home, like we're not like naturally like men and women's, like we bounce off each other at home like really naturally, and like have friends that are like men and women, whereas here it's not really as normalized, like especially in I think like the men's environment, like those guys come in drafted when they're 18 and could have gone to like all boys schools and not really dealt with that much. So I know when I came in at the beginning, I just was like straight in just chatting to them and like, what's up, how are you, kind of a thing. And like at the beginning it was kind of like what is going on, but then like became friends with them awful quick. And I think that they, like Hawthorn as a club, like really wanted that environment where everyone kind of gets along, like the one club mentality. Like the family club is kind of what the Hawthorn would be known for. So I think from the beginning of it, they like the men's really made an effort to kind of get around us and to make us feel as welcome as we could.
But that's a whole club mentality as well, because when I was in there, it shocked me how welcome I was made feel as well. In that when me and Connor were talking about going and doing some off-season work, we were looking at gyms around the place, and Connor said he would just text the S&C coach to see if he knew of somewhere, and he was like, just bring him in here. I could just do it in here. And then I walked in and he was like, oh yeah, there's the force plates. I got them out for you in case you need them. And yeah, just use the gym and sure, the pitch and everything and stay as long as you want.
Yeah.
And then if you want to send us a report afterwards, then you can. Oh, and here's all his testing data from the last like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking, like, imagine I was at home asking like a Dublin or a Mayo or a Galway S&C for any of that.
Yeah. I think that their approach to, like, sometimes I feel like at home or in other programs or in other settings, we take things way too seriously. Like, who cares if you know his data?
Jump, like his
jump. Like it doesn't matter if an opposition team find out how high he can jump. Nobody cares. You know what I mean? But we kind of like have, sometimes people are like, oh, we can't do this, we can't do that. Whereas Hawks are really chilled about that kind of stuff. Yeah. Like our S&C and the men's S&C work super close to each other and help each other out. And like, they're just really relaxed about everything. And like, our high performance manager is, like, in my opinion, the elite of the elite. Like, he was like Nick Kyrgios's high performance manager. And he was like the Australian cricket high performance manager. He's been AFL managers. And like, he's just like so chilled about everything. And like, they give a lot of onus to you as a player. And you know, if you rock up to training and you're like, I slept terribly, I feel like crap, I had a really rough game at the weekend, I just cannot get up and about for this training session. He's like, cool.
Yeah.
No stress. You'll make it up later on the week. Whereas like at home, I feel like that would never be, it's kind of more of a, well, maybe.
It depends on the environment, I'd say. But
yeah,
the other thing that I would say in terms of differences in culture is, I think like we're actually a little bit better at the intangibles in general in Ireland. Like, so for the communication standpoint, the connection, kind of knowing the person first. I've been in a couple of environments out here where they would almost look at your testing scores before they'd ask you how you slept and whatnot. So that's really good that your high performance manager is on that. But then I went over to New Zealand and they just do both things to another standard. Now I was with the Blackburn Sevens and the All Black Sevens, so it's like the elite of the elite. They were preparing for the Olympics, but they do stuff that we wouldn't be comfortable doing, like going out to a cabin in the woods every quarter, and they have like a talking stick, and and there's no lights, it's all candlelight, and they go around and tell everybody what's going on in their life and what the team means to them and stuff, and then they sleep on the floor for the night as a group. And I'm like, imagine trying to get 30 Irish men.
Yeah, no, that's not happening.
I'm sure you're all sound like, you know.
We like, that's definitely one part of it when I came over here that I was a bit like, what's going on? Like, you'd have those kind of moments where if you go away on a footy trip and you know, you get everybody to open up. And at the time I was like, I'm just kicking a ball with you on a field. Why do I need to know this about you? But I think that's what I've learned, is that when you understand the person and what has happened in their lives and what they're going through, and you kind of understand them a bit better. And I think that's probably one thing that we're not overly good at is expressing that, or even showing the vulnerable side, or showing what you are struggling with, because we see it as a weakness straight away. Whereas I think that's one thing I've learned, is that it doesn't have to be like that. It's kind of, it helps the person get to know you more. It helps your teammates understand you better. So if I have a day that I'm off, they understand why I'm off, and it's like, oh, give it a break. Whereas if I just come in with an attitude and nobody understands why, it's like, oh, she's just in a mood. Like, she's just being off for no reason. Whereas like, understanding the person and the player, it makes it easier then to work with them as a whole, I think.
But if you think about it, that's why we say club over county at home, because you know everything about everybody on the club, even though it's not spoken about, because you've grown up together, you're in one parish.
Yeah.
So that's what bonds you together, is knowing that. And the setups, or the inter-county setups that do it the best, are the ones that are the closest, that are almost like a cult, because they just know everything about each other. They do everything together all of the time.
Yeah.
Like, I know Jen Dunn spoke to me on the podcast about when she was coming out, like a lot of tears coming out to Brisbane because they had just won the All-Ireland with Dublin. And then she was having to say goodbye like 2 days later, 3 days later. And that is really important in a team setup. And it sounds like you're getting that right as well.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that definitely hasn't always been the case. I think, I think one of the biggest barriers when I came out, was obviously like a lot of the girls that are on my team, it was their first time being in an elite environment or a professional setup or at that level. So they probably weren't used to harsh feedback or honest communication. Like they just didn't really have it before. Whereas where we came from, it was like, that's all you hear. So there was this massive clash, I guess. I probably wasn't the most liked at the beginning when I came in, for sure, with the way that I just gave feedback. And, I would just be straight out honest with it. And then, people would be upset about it afterwards. And I didn't really understand why they were upset. I was like, I just told you the truth. I don't understand what the problem is. Like, that's kind of how it is. Like, that's not my fault. You can't take it. But then, like, I have to credit, like, our head coach of the past 2 years, like Daniel Webster. He's kind of really helped me be like, okay, I understand that works for you. It doesn't work for everybody. And because I think that at home, a lot of us are motivated by pretty much the same reason. Like we all do it because we want to win as a collective. Like when you're down in Loch George at 7:30 on a Wednesday night in the piss and rain and you're doing running tests, like you look to your left and right and it's like, there's no way anybody here if you don't want to be here. Like there's no way. Why would you put yourself through this? If you don't want to be here to win, why are you here? Whereas over here, unfortunately, there's so many different motivations for different people, and not all of it is to win the premiership as a team, as a collective. You have different motivations if it's personal ones or the money aspect. Like there's so many different motivations. So what gets me going might not get you going. And I think that's one thing that I had to figure out is that when speaking to people and understanding people, that I have to understand what their motivation is, why they want to be here. So then I might not agree with it, but then at least I can work with them more. And then I understand, like in game scenarios or chatting to them during the week, what will get them to give me them like more out of them, which gets them motivated. If I'm saying like, oh, if you do this, like you will have this. If someone's struggling to get into the team, if you just do this work and do this role, like this is your role to be taken then. And then they're like, yeah, that will get them going. Whereas at home it's like, do you want to win this? And it's like, yeah, well then do it. It's like, it's a different motivation. And that's one thing that I've kind of had to learn. And I also think that showing the girls what motivates me and why I'm doing this also helped them understand me better. Because at the beginning they probably were like, oh, this is just an Irish girl coming here, never knew the game, and now she's yelling at us and blah, blah, blah. Whereas now they know that, I'm doing all this because I want us to win so badly. And I might not show it in the best way sometimes or lose my temper every now and then, but that they know that it's coming from a place that I genuinely care about them and want us to be successful and want us to win.
So you have the same motivation out here to win as you did at home?
Yeah, I think just naturally I'm just a super competitive person. And I think that when, like, especially coming into this team, like when we came in, I think we finished 16th the first year and 15th the second year. So like we were no good. And then in the space of a year, we jumped to second and the ladder, got to finals. And then we're, there and thereabouts again this year. And like I've been on the journey the whole way. And to see that we're kind of coming to the stage where we're, competing with the top teams is definitely exciting. And like I don't get fulfillment out of anything but winning. I feel like I want to.
So you said they had to try to understand why this Irish girl came out here, like what she was trying to do. When you were coming out, did you say to yourself, I'm going out there to win the comp, or were you just
no, not at all? Yeah.
But then you got here. And
yeah. I think like when I came out first, I think it was just like an experience. I think it was just after COVID that it happened. And I think everyone was kind of in that mindset of like, what is important? And I think everyone kind of, after COVID kind of reassessed what their life was or where they wanted to go. So I just was like, I have this opportunity, I might as well go and take it. And when I came out in the beginning, I just wanted to see how I'd go, and I wasn't overly good at the beginning for sure. And then started playing a few games and was just kind of happy to be. And then as the years kind of went on, maybe after the second year, I think I thought I was enjoying it a lot more than I actually was enjoying it. And I also think that it's kind of a little bit of, yeah, but this is such an amazing experience. I have to be enjoying it. Like this is so cool that I'm out here being a professional athlete. Like, what would I be doing at home working a 9 to 5? I have to be enjoying it. And then after the third year, I really put in a big stint. We got new staff, we got new coaches. And then that's kind of where it all changed for me, when I started really, really enjoying it and kind of came into my own as a player and felt like I understood the game better and understood what was going on. And we changed our game style, which really suited me and probably was played more the way that us Irish would think the game should be played, rather than just kind of surge football along down the line, which doesn't really suit any of us. And then that's when I started really enjoying it and kind of coming into my own. And then when I saw that we could be competitive and got a sniff of that, I think since then it's just been kind of blinkers on and just kind of hunting that goal down now.
Was it hard? Because you've spoken about saying that when you were doing your pre-season back in Galway, you were looking left and right and saying there's no way that you're here if you don't want to win. But there are certain inter-county setups or club setups that would have a mismatch of people in there with different motivations. Some people wouldn't be in there necessarily wanting to win. They might say they want to win, but they don't actually perform the actions necessary to win. You played in an All-Ireland final in 2019 and then you come out here and, as you said, 15th, 16th in the ladder. Was that tough? Because I met Ailish O'Dowd for a coffee a couple of months ago. She's after winning All-Ireland with Dublin, and then she comes out here and the Giants aren't going as well, and she said she was just getting so frustrated because you go from like crazy high to like being down the bottom fighting, which is a hard thing to do.
Yeah. I think that I probably was so focused on myself and trying to get better, and trying to get to the same level of the players around my team, that probably the first year I didn't really care that much about us not being that successful. I think that I also was lucky in after 2019, we were really successful with basketball. I went back playing with Mystics and we ended up winning the Division 1 basketball title. So I think that, you know, throughout my sporting careers, I've been involved in the highest of highs and the lowest of lows when you're at both ends of the ladder. So I think when I came out here, I kind of knew that it was, you know, a process. And I knew that when I decided to play with the Hawks, I knew that I was going into a new team. So I knew that they weren't going to be competitive at the beginning. But I think that's probably in a little sense of why I probably wanted to go with them. It's because they were new and it was fresh, and I was coming in to, you know, a new team. There was no cliques or there was no, you know, people already being there and solidifying their positions. It was kind of this like new fresh start, which kind of excited me, which I thought would have been a really unique experience. And also that of like, it would be kind of cool to be saying I've been somewhere from the beginning, like an inaugural player. Like I think, you know, if this comp goes on for another 100 years, my name is still going to be down on that first team, which I thought would have been a really cool experience. If we do become successful, it'd be pretty cool to say that I've been there from the beginning.
Keep scoring goals as well. You might be on the records list for a long time yet to come.
Yeah.
Like you've said, you're extremely competitive. Did you know that the 50 goals in 41 games was the record, or was equaling the record?
I had no idea. Like that, I think that.
How would you? I guess.
Yeah, like it's not like I think you know about like your season stats. Like it's just kind of a constant reminder. It's like thrown around. Like you wouldn't be looking out for yourself, but it's just, it might be like said to you or whatever. But career, like it's never really spoken about. I don't think anyone really knows. Like I was kind of laughing because I came off and it was just our media girl that came up and was like, oh, like, well done. And I was like, what are you talking about? She's like, you just equal this record. And I had no idea. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. But I don't think you ever, like, you don't think about those things going into it. I think you just kind of play. And I think like from where we come from at home, that nobody counts anything like that. Like nobody counts how many games you've played or how many goals you've kicked. So it's not a motivator. You just kind of, it just happens, I guess. And then it is a pretty cool achievement at the same time. And I am like proud that I have gotten there upon reflection, but it's definitely not something that you kind of, like I had no idea that I was even close to that.
It was pretty perfect though to kick it in the same amount of games as Cora Staunton and kick 3 in the game to do so. But as you said there, it is a huge milestone, but the reason they're probably so on top of it is they love stats, don't they? That's what it goes back to. I was saying culturally, they'd nearly ask you what your CMJ was before they asked you how many hours sleep you got the night before.
Yeah, they love stats here.
Vicky was giving out about...
Was she? Yeah. Of course she was.
Yeah. When she came on the podcast, she was talking about how even if like North's lost a couple of years ago, obviously, they would have a post up of how many disposals Vicky Wall got in the game, and she was like giving out, she's like, why are you putting that up? We lost. But it's just totally different culture. It's like, but this is something to celebrate.
Yeah, and I think the thing that bothers us Irish about it is that it's only concentrated on the numbers. So like I could have 15 disposals and my efficiency is 20%. So to me, that's, well, I've done an awful job. I've given the ball back more times than I've kept hold of it. But they only look at that, well, you've had 15 disposals, that's great. So like they don't really, I don't know, like understand then the game as a whole. Like they don't look at the smaller parts of the game that are like the winning and the making of games. Like I remember like my first year when I came out, Melbourne were playing against Adelaide Crows, and Chelsea Randall is like a superstar of the comp, and has been such a stalwart, especially for the Crows for her whole career. And I think she was having a phenomenal season. And the week before, she had 28 disposals, something like that. And then Sinead Goldrick was given the job to man marker. And I was watching the game, and the only thing they could speak about was how quiet Randall was. And I just couldn't get my head around the fact that they gave no credit to Sinead. Like that, not once were they like, well, Goldrick has kept her to 8 disposals this whole game. Like she was off. Like she wasn't performing as well as she could have. There's no like understanding the game of, okay, there's a reason that she hasn't gotten this many disposals, or like, Sinead got X amount of spoils on her, just putting her hand in and stopping her from getting the ball, but that is not a stat that they account. So it's not given. And I think Sinead then probably would have had 5 disposals in the game. So like in the game, she didn't have a good game, but from my opinion, she was the best player on the field because she stopped their best player from having a game, and then in turn Melbourne won the game. So that it's kind of that aspect of it that we don't particularly like, I guess, about the game, is that, it probably just credits I don't know if it credits the right things, because then you have players that then might be more inclined to chase those disposals or chase stats because they know how it'll look then at the end of the game, rather than, someone just doing something for the betterment of the team.
But that's the intangibles, kind of immeasurables, that I think we do a little bit better, just because I suppose it's just a cultural thing. But every one of the AFLW players, the Irish ones obviously that I speak to, all hate the fantasy points as well. They think it's such a load of shite. But like, I also think that it's one of the reasons, from chatting to Dara Joyce, that Dara has been, and I might be stepping out of line by saying it, but like hard done by, in that when he's gone into the Lion setup, he's always done well. But his stats are immeasurable because, as from speaking to him about his role, his role isn't playing football at all. It's stopping the guy that he's on playing as much football as possible.
Yeah.
And you can't measure a hand in someone's face or slapping a ball away from somebody or anything like that, you know?
Yeah.
And there's definite merit in that. So it rewards certain aspects of the game that potentially aren't always the most important thing.
Yeah. And I think that, like, you know, it's also a bit of a running joke in our setup that the backs never get credit for anything. But like, I think that like the most unrewarded roles in the teams are the man markers and the, you know, like we have one girl on our team, Tamara Smith is her name, who is an absolute dog and will go out on and be thrown on anybody and puts her body onto everything and just is such a workhorse, but then again won't get crazy disposals, so will never be spoken about and never be told she did a good job. Or so that's why like I love to rap her, because like I see it and I'm like, you know, whereas the media sees that the player that she's on had a quiet day, but it's like there's a reason she had a quiet day. It's not just the person being off or whatever. So I do think that sometimes, especially the defenders, definitely get a hard rap over here.
Are you making an effort this year to try to be a better teammate? It sounds like you're catering the information and how you're delivering the information a lot more to the girls, which they're probably grateful for.
Yeah. I think I think I've done it, but not consciously. Like I don't think I went out of my way at the beginning of the season to be like, okay, I want to be the best teammate that I can. I think I just try to be the best person that I can, and then that's kind of turned into helping out like some teammates. And I've actually in turn gotten great reward from it. I think like especially helping out like the younger girls. I think we have like 15 girls that are 20 and younger on our team out of a panel of 30, which is pretty crazy.
I wonder if you feel old.
Yeah. And, you know, I think it'd be super easy just to be like, oh, this is annoying. We have a bunch of kids and they aren't there yet and I can just concentrate on myself. But like we've some beautiful kids that are in there that just really want to learn. And I've tried to kind of help them out and, you know, do vision with them and try to explain to them how I see the game, rather than maybe before I just tell them where to go and what to do. And they probably don't understand where I was coming from. You know, it's really easy to tell someone, I want you to stand here at this time and do this. But if they don't understand why they're standing there at that time and doing that, they're not going to do it consistently. So I've put a lot of work into, you know, doing vision with them and helping them out. And then in turn, I've gotten great satisfaction out of that, you know, not just in a selfish standpoint that they're getting me the ball a bit more because that's kind of nice as well. But
why the goals are going up.
Yeah, that's why the goals have gotten up. But if like I'm standing in the goal square and I've told one of the girls, you know, if you get this ball and change direction, you'll get this opportunity. And then it turns out to happen in a game, you know, I'm smiling in the goal square because I'm like, I'm so happy that that's kind of worked out for them. So I've gotten great satisfaction from that. And then also it's helped me build relationships with them a lot better and been able to get on with them a lot better and just have a bit of fun with them as well. I think that sometimes I can be a bit serious in the setups and would get, you know, a bit frustrated if I thought that people weren't taking it as seriously as I was taking it. But I've kind of learned that if I go about it one way, that doesn't mean that you have to go about it the same way that I do. But you still care just as much as I care. But I think that I just had an idea of how people should react to things or go about things in ways like my biggest thing last year was like after games, if we lost, if I saw one person smiling, I was losing the head. I'm like, why are you smiling? We've lost this game. Or if I hear giggles in the change room, I'd be ready to throw a bottle at them. Whereas now I'm like, okay, they're probably just trying to avoid the fact that we've just lost this game and they're trying to like take their mind off it for the next 10, 15 minutes. And they probably could go home and then have a bit of a suck about it there. Whereas like I would be in the change rooms thick out in the corner with my head in my hands, and I'd be fuming if somebody else didn't do that. Whereas now I'm kind of understanding the players and what they need in different times, and not everyone kind of can be painted in the same brush.
Do you think that's natural or learned behavior on your part, that if you lose, you have to be in bad humor?
I think it's natural. I think even from when I was a kid, I was just the worst loser. Like, it would be like, I grew up with 3 brothers. So it was just always competing. I always had to prove that I was able to compete with the boys or better than the boys all the time. So I would honestly, like, we could play cards games and I'd lose and I'd be throwing the cards Monopoly, the board would go flying and I'd be so thick. So I think I've always naturally been that, you know, so angry and so frustrated after games. And then I think that one thing that I've kind of come out of this year feeling, especially in the off season, is that it's just not that deep. You know what I mean? I think that as I've gotten older, I think that I'm definitely like seeing the bigger picture of life and perspective, and you know, I would dwell so heavily on games afterwards, and like I used to like talk to my coach about it. If we played on a Saturday and we're back in again on a Monday, I would have watched the game maybe 3 or 4 times, and I would be over analyzing every single game, and it would be stuck in my head the parts of the game that I would mess up on. Whereas this year I probably only watched it about twice, and definitely have a bit more grace on myself and others of, you know, not everything has to be perfect. And I was probably chasing that, you know, perfection all the time, and especially coming over to this game, I found that extremely hard to deal with, because in Gaelic football and basketball you get so many opportunities. Like in basketball, you could touch the ball 4 times in 24 seconds in one play. And then here I could touch the ball 5 times in a game. So I have 5 opportunities in the game to do something. And if I thought if I mess up 2 or 3 of them, I've had the worst game. And same in Gaelic football, you have so many opportunities to, especially being a midfielder, you get your hands on the ball so often that you have so many opportunities, and not every play is that important. Whereas here, if I get the ball 5 times and I don't do anything with those times, like that's my opportunity gone. So I really struggle with that aspect of not utilizing the ball as much as I could. Whereas now I think I'm a lot more chilled out with the opinion of I'm trying my best. If it doesn't go that way, it doesn't go that way, but just keep trying and not giving up. And that's also probably one aspect that then I focus on is, okay, well, yeah, I'm a key forward. My goal is, my job is to, you know, be on the attacking end. But if that isn't going well for me, if I get on the defensive end and start putting pressure on and putting tackles on and get the ball back for us and set other people up, well, in my opinion, that's just as important as putting the ball through the posts.
It's almost more important, because putting the ball through the post is the glamorous bit. But as you said, it's only 5 actions a game. Yeah. How many times do you have to close down space in a game? Like hundreds, like.
Yeah.
But it's something I've navigated as well, because I'm the exact same. Like, in regard to losing, when I was younger, and a lot younger, like 2 or 3, if I couldn't make my jigsaw correctly or a piece wouldn't go in, I used to cry and throw the jigsaw against the wall. And like, I've only realized in recent years that if you lose a game, or if I'm playing bad golf or whatever is happening and it's not going my way, being in a bad humor benefits no one, least of all myself.
Yeah. No,
and
100%.
The other thing my dad used to always say to me as well was, like, because I'd be getting frustrated with teammates if they weren't in bad humor as well.
Yeah.
But he used to say, not everybody can be like you, Peter. And even if they were, you would have no fun on the same night, you know? And it's true. Like,
if there was 30 of me on the panel, it would be the worst team to deal with of all time. It just would not work. And I think that that's like the learning of it, isn't it? It's kind of the beauty of it, is that you don't want everyone to be like you. Like, also then it wouldn't make it interesting. Like, it'd be boring. Also, I'd hate it. I'd hate if everyone was like me, because I'd clash with myself all the time. I understand that I can be like super difficult to carry on with. And I think that that's what I've kind of focused on. I get not changing, because I also think that you know, that part of me wanting to win, being competitive, is my superpower. Like, it's the reason that I'm here. Like, I don't think that, like, I think there's two types of players. There's the one who's just naturally super talented and, you know, everything comes super easy to them. And there's that. And then there's the player who, you know, just works hard at everything. And I think that I'm probably the second one. Like, I don't think that anything comes super naturally to me. I don't think I'm a great kick of the ball, or I don't think, but I work on those kind of things. And if I wasn't super competitive, I would not be anywhere close to where I am today. I don't think I'd even have been half as successful as when I was younger as I was. And I think that that's also why maybe I am, you know, still going in the game, whereas others when I was younger probably were a lot more like talented than I was when we were younger. But I think it was just that kind of grit and determination when I was younger, and still true, to keep me kind of going and wanting to be the best that I can and wanting to be the best player, is probably held me a good stance now as like the older that I get.
But you're definitely setting yourself short as well. Like, you're kicking goals off either foot. So like there's some level of talent there. Obviously what's accelerated you and what you feel has accelerated you is your attitude and your grit and your determination. But I heard a good one last week actually from Nicky Butt, who used to play with Man United, and he said that when he was like 13, 14, his dad said to him, never be embarrassed about being the hardest worker on the team. And like, it's so true. Like, sure, why would you be embarrassed about that? And sometimes there are teammates you play with that are too cool for school, and they're like, oh, would you give over? Would you like just relax?
And I think that is probably I feel like I always kind of knew that sports was my thing, and I think I am quite fortunate. I don't know why this is. I've spoke to people about it before. I never questioned myself, which now I know is a blessing because of how many people do and kind of have that. But like, especially when you're like 15, 16, 17 and, you know, people are going out and starting to go discos and kind of becoming that too cool for school and don't want to play sports, especially girls don't want to play sports because it's boyish and, you know, the guys don't fancy if you turn up looking like this kind of a thing. Like, that never crossed my mind. Like, I knew that I was like, I thought and saw things a lot differently, but that never bothered me. Like, I remember when I was in secondary school and I used to go out and run 5Ks at break time. Like,
same,
I went to school in Spittle, this like out in the countryside. There was like, I think there was maybe like 30 kids in my whole class. And I used to go out and run along the prom and run a 5K at break time. And people were like, who is this one? Like, what is she doing? And that never bothered me. I never cared because I was like, you don't understand why I'm doing this. And I'm glad you don't understand why I'm doing this, because if you did, then we'd be the same. Like, I was glad that I knew what I wanted to do and I had a focus and I had an aim to get to. And I knew that if I acted the way that everybody else acted, I'd end up the same way that everybody else. And not that that's a bad thing.
No, but in your head, almost when you're doing that, you know that it's a differentiator.
Yeah.
Like, you tell yourself, nobody else is doing this.
Exactly.
And that's why I'm going to get ahead and that's why I'm going to win.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I remember it used to be like things like that. If like trainings would clash with like discos or like nights out and all that kind of stuff, and I'd miss them, my friends would always be more upset that I was missing them than I was upset that I was missing them, because I was like, I'm missing them. It's an event. Who cares? I'm going training with the Irish basketball team. I don't really care that I'm missing this. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is what's important to you this month. I'm going to play against England this week. That's what's important to me. You know what I mean? It was just a completely different mindset. And I was really comfortable having that different mindset and knowing that, that I was just on a different path, I guess, than others. And I was also super fortunate that, a lot of my friends were also quite successful. Like, I had like, I think we won the under 16 and under 18 All Ireland in basketball. And that really kicked me on to what I then kind of turn out to do and a lot of stuff because we got success when we were younger. But like I had a friend, Catherine Kinnair, who was on all the Irish teams with me growing up. And so I had people to lean off. It wasn't kind of me out by myself. In school a bit was, but in like my Cullen, there was like, we had a lot of success as well. I think we were just really lucky with the age group that we had, like Alva Davern as well, who captained Galway last year. She was also my age. So there was a few people that were the similar mindset to me, so we could all bounce off each other, and I think that kind of motivated us to kind of keep going.
Are your brothers all like you as well?
I think that my younger brother Fionn is really similar to me, and then I think that the youngest, then again, Fikra, him and Fionn are like two peas in a pod. And I think that he's learned Fionn's behaviors and has kind of followed in his footsteps. I think that we'd all be kind of like quite similar, and we were always like competing with each other. And yeah, they've like had a bit of success.
That's why I brought it up.
Yeah.
Just to give them a shout out.
Yeah, which is fantastic. Like it's great seeing that, because they're actually more hurling than they were. They've always kind of played hurling and then fallen back into the football after the hurling would stop Michael. And whereas this year they gave more of a crack to the football. So they both got to start at the weekend and obviously won the county final, which is pretty cool. But I think another thing that helped us going a lot was we would be cousins with the Shootays from Dublin, Paul and Mark, and like we idolized them as kids. We absolutely idolized them. Like we'd go up and spend like a good bit of our summers up there, and like we'd follow them out to their trainings. And you know, I remember when they would be finished with their gear, they'd send down a bag of gear down to us, and we would fight over it, and just be wanting to wear it all the time. And we just thought they were the coolest people in the world. So we just wanted to be like them. And so we kind of always had like...
And they played hurling as well.
Yeah, they played hurling. Yeah, with Dublin, and then Coola. They won the 2 All-Irelands with Coola, which was just so cool to kind of watch them do that. And I think that especially for Fionn, like seeing, he was always really compared to Mark. Like Fionn is like, he's 6'8", he's huge. And Mark is quite tall as well. So they were always compared to each other. So Fionn always kind of wanted to be like Mark. So we loved looking up to them, and it was like we always just wanted to kind of be like them. And my family in general like are quite steeped in GA. Like my uncle was Mick Holden, who played with Dublin, who won an All-Ireland, and he actually came out here playing the Aussie rules, international rules. And then like we'd have a few cousins from Kilkenny, like Joey Holden and all them.
Boo.
Yeah, so it was just kind of it was always something that I don't know, it was never something that I never saw any other path. Does that make sense? Like I never once, like even like when I was growing up, I didn't do the whole college. Well, I was in college. I never finished a year, but I kind of, in some weird reason in the back of my head, I always kind of thought, something is going to work out. Like something in the sports realm is going to work out. Even though I don't know where I thought that I was going, because it was not being paid at all. But I don't know. That was just kind of my focus, was always just sport. Like even in school, I didn't really care about school. I just knew, I just had a feeling, sports is going to bring me somewhere. Because I think it does. It opens up crazy
connections for sure.
and different things like that. So yeah, no, I definitely love growing up with my brothers, and I have to give them a lot of credit, because I don't think without them that I'd be here, because as much as we drove each other insane, we definitely were big motivators for each other to kind of keep competing and showing up.
So shout out Mike Cullen for winning the Galway title at the weekend. The reason I was asking as well was, I know you're so driven and kind of blinkers on that you're probably going to give me one answer, but when that's going on at home, do you think about, it'd be great to be there? Or are you just like focused on what you're doing right now out here?
I think, no.
And don't give me the answer that like you expect people want you to say.
I think when I came out here the first year, I was sick, like watching it at home. When they won, I was devastated that I wasn't at home for it, and then they got to the Connacht final, and it was played, I think, on the 4th of December, and we were out of the competition, and I rang the club and I was like, I need to be home by the 4th of September, book a flight. And they were like, that's a week away. And I'm like, I don't care, I need to be home for this. And then I went home, and then they got to the All-Ireland semi-final, and the club were asking, when are you coming back out? And I'm like, I need to wait to see how they go in this game. Like, if they win, I'm staying on until the 20 whatever of January when they were playing that final. And then I think it's kind of an unsettling feeling that the longer you kind of stay out here, I don't know if it's like a defense mechanism or if it's just kind of naturally how it happens, that you feel like you almost disconnect a little bit from that home side of things, because like in those days, like you miss being there and, you know, getting texts from different family members about, you know, my brothers and how they were doing. Like it's a little bit upsetting that you're kind of not there and you're missing out on that huge part of it, and that community element, and seeing everyone and how much it means to everybody. So I feel like, in a selfish way, when I'm in season and trying to focus on it, I kind of disconnect a little bit and try not to overly think about it and dwell on it, because I think then that will kind of upset me that I'm not there and I'm not being around everyone, and I'm missing out on that. And it's like, I always say that I think that when you are like, I would struggle to find more selfish individuals than professional athletes, and it's tough because it's not us that are the ones that are impacting from it. It's like the people around you, because you have this short period where you have to utilize it, because sports is so fickle. You know, this season's going great, I could get an injury tomorrow that kind of puts a halt to the whole thing, or, you know, I could have another 5 years max left at this. So you have to take every opportunity when it comes. And I guess it's kind of the people around you that would suffer a little bit from that. So I'm super grateful that I have all these experiences, but I try to then in turn not dwell on a whole pile of what's going on at home, because if you're constantly thinking and worrying about home and missing home, and you're not really giving yourself the fair opportunity that you're out here to enjoy that experience. And I think that that's a lot of conversation that I've had with a few of the Irish girls here. So yeah, I think it is probably tough one to do, but I think you kind of have to put yourself first in these little situations.
But I think that's normal. That's living in the present. Like that's just controlling what is going on around you. And we speak about it in the house a lot, like how professional athletes would be termed by some as the most selfish people in the world, but that's all they have. That's their livelihood. They're not just doing it for them as well. It's for their family. It's for their future. So you have to take all of their actions with a pinch of salt, because in their head, if they perform poorly, then that's defeats and that's a lost contract and that's the end of the line. And then what are you going to do? Like, you'll have to cash in those connections that we were talking about. You know, so I think that's normal, but I think it's also healthy, because you could spend your whole time in one place thinking about the other place. And it's something that I'm conscious of not doing. Like when I go back to Ireland, I try not to think about what's going on out here in Australia. And when I'm out here, I try not to think about what's going on in Ireland. And I don't know, that's just the way my brain works. Like sometimes, well, I've stopped questioning it really. It's like I'd be on the phone to my family and be like, do you miss us? And I'd be like, no.
Yeah. And I also think that you, like, when you're here, you're like, oh my God, what's going on at home? And then you have the conversations at home, and almost this stuff that you're being told, it's like, oh,
it's inconsequential. Like nothing's changing. Like,
or like it's minor. It's like, this person has taken over this pub. Okay. Like, you know what I mean? It's not like
the dog's sick.
Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Or this person started dating this person. Oh, the priest said this at the mass, and you're like, okay, like it's actually like you think you're missing out on so much, and it probably. It's also this time of year with the club championships is kind of when you probably miss it the most because you see all the fun that they're having. But then, you know, everyone's back in work now on a Wednesday, and you know they're just back to the same old kind of life. And so then you have to kind of put that into perspective as well, that you only see the glimpses of the good times.
The good things,
yeah.
We may as well move on to quick fire questions before we finish. First one's proudest achievement to date.
I think probably being able to play with Ireland. Like even though I did it when I was younger, I just think that like I will never forget singing Aine McDonagh, you know, in the European Championships when I was underage, like, and my family were in the stand. I just think, you know.
What age were you?
I was under 16 from so like 15, and then I went to under 18s as well.
It's quite young to start crying at the national anthem.
Yeah. I think, you know, when like my family just have always been so sporty that like I remember when we would watch the Sunday game, it'd be anyone playing, and we could have been 4 years old, 5 years old, and our Aine McDonagh would come on, and my dad would tell us to stand up, and we'd all link arms and put our hands over his chest and start singing it. So it was always something like super special in our household. And we were actually I was actually born in New York, and that's where we grew up. So I think that that's also probably why the Irish culture was really kind of pumped into us when we were kids, because I think that, you know, when like me and my eldest brother went to preschool, and then we came back with a bit of an American twang, and my dad was like, not a chance, back we go to Ireland. So I think then like we'd be fluent in Irish, and he really kind of like all of our names are super Irish as well. So that was always something that was really important to us. So I think that moment, yeah, I'll always just kind of have that in my head.
Yeah, it's perfect melting pot of like the diaspora abroad and them making sure that you knew you were Irish, and then moving back there and pulling on a green and white jersey was obviously huge. Yeah. Favorite athlete of all time?
Probably cliche, but LeBron James. Yeah. I don't know why. I just thought maybe not so much now, but I think like when I was growing up, just the aura that he had, like going into games and just like knowing that he was him. He was the man every single time he turned up. I always just thought that was really cool.
I'm more Kobe, to be honest.
Are you?
Always was. Yeah. Even back in the day, like I don't know why. I just like how he locks in.
You
know. Whereas LeBron does lock in, but like he's
a showman.
He's a showman and he's having a good time all the time. Whereas I connected with Kobe over the fact that he didn't want anybody else having a good time, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, for sure. I don't know if it's a cliche, because I think that's the first time LeBron has been said on the podcast, and we've done like 117 early, like, so.
I think that I don't really think, like, I would watch a heap of sport, but I wouldn't like idolize. Like it'd be more county players that I'd idolize. Like when we were growing up. Like I remember we went to, like, I actually think that still on my lock screen is like, you know, you have the flick through, like me and my brothers and Henry Shefflin.
Boo.
And Tommy Walsh. Because we just used to love, like, we used to love them growing up as kids. Whereas, it was probably more GAA side, and that we used to love.
We'll accept the first answer of LeBron James. Who's had the biggest influence over your career?
That is a tough one. I think there's so many different people along the way that kind of helped me out. I think one of them was my underage basketball coach, Paul O'Brien was his name. He was actually a brother of one of the girls on the team, and he took us over when he was 18 years old and we were 11, 12, and he was dragged down to coach us by his mom, who was management, and he coached us the whole way up, and just taught me so much, and you know, got me into, like, when I was with the Irish teams, anytime I'd ask him for extra sessions, he'd do it. And was probably the first one that made me think that I could actually be successful at it. I think you always kind of want to be, but I think when I was like, 15, 16, and I remembered that when me and Catherine, who was on our team, were going for the under 16 Irish team. We were over in Scotland for a competition with the club, and we were flying home. And in the time we were flying home, we were finding out if we made the squad or not. And it was kind of like Catherine was kind of a lock. Like everyone kind of knew Catherine was in, but it was more of like about me. I didn't know if I was going to get it. And I remember we got back and he was the first person that I told that I got onto the squad, and he was just super happy for me. And then he was also the coach. He coached me the whole way up, and he was the coach that was my coach when we won in Mystics and stuff. And even now, like he, watches all of our games over here. So he definitely had a huge impact on me. And then also I have to say, like our coach now, Daniel Webster, has had a huge impact on me, just like that kind of aspect of it, just learning more about the person and how the game is. And I think I've learned a lot from him, not just about the game, but just how to be a better person and how to be a better teammate.
That's all you want to do as a coach, I suppose.
Yeah.
What's the biggest thing that you've learned in the last 12 months?
I feel like I've learned a lot, but I think probably trying to understand other people more has been my biggest learning. And understanding that not everyone is probably wired the way I am, or not everybody is how I want them to operate, but that's not a bad thing. I'm sure that people will probably look at me the same way and wonder why I kind of act the way I act sometimes. But just like understanding how different people operate. And actually another thing is like I've been going to mass a lot recently. I don't know why I went at Easter because I kind of was feeling homesick, and that's always something that I used to do with my family. And when you were younger and going, it was always such a drag to go. And I found like I go every Sunday now just to a little church, and it's called St. Mary's of Balaclava. And the priest there, his name is Father Santa Maria, and his what is it called, the omens, after the gospel, and then the priest will just have a talk. I can't remember what that's called. But when I was younger and that used to go on, me and my brothers used to just start hitting each other and like messing, and you wouldn't listen to it at all. Whereas recently I've actually been listening to them, and I don't know why, I just feel like they're kind of like sometimes I feel like he's talking to me directly, or like, he's also talking about things that I'm like, just like one small thing that he said recently that made me kind of think. It was he was talking about how when he was in the priesthood that he went out for this dinner, and this girl came up to him and basically started arguing with him about how she's a better Christian Catholic than he is. And she was like, "Oh, do you not know this part of the Bible?" Like, and he was like, "No, I do." And she was saying how she feeds the homeless and she helps out, all this kind of stuff. And she was just hell-bent on proving to him that she's a better Catholic than he was. And he kind of asked her like, "Oh, so like what church do you go to? Like what mass do you go to?" And she's like, "Oh, I don't go to mass. Like I know the Bible off by heart. I kind of know everything about it. I've read so much about it, blah, blah, blah." And he was like, "But what if that's not for you? Like, what if going to mass isn't for you? Like, yeah, you know a lot about it, but what if, you go every Sunday and there's one person who sees your face that is your face is a familiar face to them, and you smile at them every time you're there, and that to someone else, makes their day a little bit better." And it just was kind of a light bulb moment to me that like sometimes in like sports as well, sometimes you might get into a stage that you're like, I felt like sometimes like if a coach is talking, I'm like, I know this. I know this. Like we've spoken about this before. And that's like all I would focus is how am I getting the benefits out of it that I can. But sometimes it's just not about you. Like sometimes you just turning up is helping somebody else out. Or if somebody else is having a bad day and you just turn up as who you are, can just help them out in that aspect. And yeah, so I found like really nice I love going to mass now, and it's kind of helping me kind of reset and also just like take life for it as it is, and just like really appreciate like the life that I have and where I am and what I'm doing. I know that's a bit off kind of topic. I went on a tangent.
That's great.
There.
That's great. Like, it sounds like you found like comfort in it, like,
yeah,
and stability, I suppose, which is great. And yeah, grateful that you were comfortable enough being so honest, like, to share that, because it's deadly. What would you tell your 18-year-old self then?
Oh, it's gonna work out. I think, you know, when you're younger, like, I know that for me when I was younger and everyone was, you know, going to college and doing that whole kind of scene, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I knew that I didn't have anything that I was interested in academically. And I was just trying things out because everyone else was doing it. Whereas like I used to stress about that all the time. My poor mom, she probably has endless nights that she didn't sleep worrying about me. So just to know that everything works out. And I think that's one thing that I've taken on a lot as well, is that I'm a strong believer of everything just works out. You might not see it at the time, but it does eventually.
Hopefully it works out Friday night and for the rest of the season. We'll see. But
hopefully
there will be some sort of a plan there anyway, even if it doesn't work out. But thanks a million for coming on. Thank
you for having me. I really appreciate it.